Hi, this is Jim Ziegler, and this is the Dawg Pound. Oh, another crazy week. We're going to talk about a subject today near and dear to my heart. You know, most of my career was in F&I. I set records in management, but not in sales management, not in general management. Any records I set were in finance. So we're going to talk about phone ringing. We're going to talk about finance today, and I've got some real experts on with me today. We're going to talk about finance, F&I in the dealerships now and in the future, online and in person. We're going to talk about the whole gamut. And to get an expert, I went all the way to Texas, stashed away in a hotel room. My friend Kenny Kelly from MOTiiV. MOTiiV, you're the national facilitator, national trainer for MOTiiV. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
You're rocking again, Kenny.
Oh man.
Okay, Kenny Kelly, the national trainer for MOTiiV, and directly from Pennsylvania, back in the United States, the king of reinsurance, my friend Max Zanan. Hello, Max.
Hey Jim, it's great to be back, and it's great to be back on the show because I missed last week.
You did miss last week. Have you ever missed a week? This is our 46th
No,
episode.
I lost my perfect attendance record.
You lost your no gold star on your report card. A
I
little
know.
smiley face. You're gonna lose it.
I know.
And from Horne Automotive Group, one of my favorite people in the entire industry, April Simmons. Hello, April.
Hey Jim, hey Dawg Pound, how we doing today?
Oh, what do you do at the Horne Automotive Group?
A little bit of everything. Communications liaison. I'm considered the marketing and internet director. I take care of all of our websites and marketing stuff. I also take care of a lot of stuff for finance. We transition to laser printers, for instance, and I do all that stuff. So kind of whatever needs to get done, I just kind of roll up the sleeves and figure out a way to get it done.
Well, why have I got you here? What do you know about F&I?
Well, this is my 24th year in the business, and my first year or so, I spent 8 years in finance. So finance was kind of where I started from. Then I transitioned to the desk. Then I transitioned to internet. So by the time I got to internet, I kind of understood the full circle, which I think made me a lot better of a beast in the internet world.
I knew that. I just had to ask. Kenny Kelly from MOTiiV. Let me ask you. You're traveling all over the country. Where are you at today? Waco?
Waco, Texas.
Fantastic. You're working in the dealership. F&I, is it going to go totally online, or people still even ever doing it face to face? To read automotive news and some of the publications, nobody's doing it face to face anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a false front. I look at dealerships every day, and the amount of transactions that I see getting done face to face compared to this total digital myth, the face to face is still where it's at. I mean, and I don't see it going away. I had this conversation with a producer just this morning, and he goes, "You telling me my office is just now going to go away? I just now got rid of a dot matrix printer."
Finally got rid of that dot matrix.
Yeah, I just had that conversation today. So, as we talked about last week, we got rid of the quip last week. Finally,
you got rid of a quip.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I used to work with a quip every day. Now, don't be knocking the quip machine. April, is digital going to take over?
Not for a really, really long time, if ever. At the end of the day, people still need people to help guide them through this process. It is just a totally different type of process. And not only that, people need permission. I think when we look at the fact that 80% plus of people still buy something different than they intended to buy, we really have to understand the part that a salesperson plays in the process. And finance managers are salespeople. So they play a huge part in the process of the health of a car dealership. And so I don't think we will ever fully be A to Z digital retailing. I don't think so. Will it play a part, and do we need to participate? Yes. 5-10% of our business may be there, but I think it'll be the minority, and we can't focus and put all of our eggs in one basket and forget about the 90% to potentially pick up the 10.
Max, what do you think?
So listen, I think COVID was like the best, right? Remember the beginning of COVID?
I don't know
Every digital retail enthusiast was saying, this is it, right? We all gonna go 100%. We're never gonna go back to the dealership, right? And I remember on LinkedIn, I said, guys, you can screenshot this, right? The wave of cancellations that's coming is going to probably take half of these digital retailers out of business, and then, as predicted, the bus full of customers pulled up to every single dealership and hasn't left for the last 18 months.
The bus showed up. Matter of fact, the UPS bus, I saw the UPS truck at a dealership the other day. But it said UPS right on the side. It took the customer to the parts department. They got their customers at parts department. I don't know what's going on there. It said UPS UPS right on the side of it.
That is hilarious.
The UPS bus. But yeah. So anyway, there are people out there that believe the customer's going to watch a video online. And the truth of the matter is, some customers will transact on the internet. Tesla's already proven that. But now remember, Tesla is an elite customer. I mean, they are the super educated, super affluent customers. I mean, they are a minority, and they will transact, and they probably got their money lined up anyway, so they don't even care about F&I. But remember that, But the truth of the matter is, our experience has been, now this is statistical, and I don't reach behind me and pull statistics out of my anatomy. I use real statistics. So statistically, truthfully, people are not transacting on the internet. They're getting right up to that point and still coming in the dealership. And I've often said I like to fill out my paperwork in advance, but I do go to the doctor physically. So is digital taking over? I think digital is going to creep up on us, and it's going to be more and more of the industry. I think the Prodigies and the Darwins and these people are going to have a place in the industry. They're always going to have a place in the industry. I had a demo this morning with some people that are really, really good with the digital process. I'm talking about CarNow. And if I was going to recommend a digital retailer, I'm going to tell you, take a look at CarNow. Now, you use those people, don't you, April? Aren't you one of their bell cow dealers?
Yeah. I've been with Tim Cox and the crew since I want to say 2014, the first store here in Phoenix that adopted working with them. And one of the advantages that I like about them is that they are dealer first. They came into digital retailing with this thought process of, this is a customer experience tool, but we need to understand that the dealer is the most important connection of human connection to it. And what I'll say about that is this: the first digital retailing tool that ever came out that hit my plate that was horrible was Make My Deal. Do we remember that? My Deal, right? Okay.
I do.
Straight up hot garbage, because what they thought back then was statistically, right? They do these surveys, and survey says that customers want to do this. And back then, customers wanted to buy online, and that's where they came out with the Make My Deal. What they forgot was that they needed the dealer to actually talk to the customer to actually make the deal, because customers can't make a deal without getting somebody to help them through that process. So when CarNow first came out, they did the one thing that Make My Deal didn't do. They said, hey, we're going to allow you to do as much or as little as you want through this process, but we're going to make sure we tap in the dealer immediately. We're going to bring the dealer into the situation so that you can ask them questions directly and we can answer those questions. So that is where, to me, digital retailing really does shine. I'm a huge fan of it, but we have to remember that it's about customer experience, not about selling cars online. We are not Amazon. We are not going to be Amazon. We are too different of an experience to ever get to that kind of place. This isn't a check-in, check-out. We're not a grocery store.
No. Now, Kenny, you teach F&I schools. How often?
Generally about every 3 months. In fact, we got one coming up just a couple weeks.
Yeah, let's give away some free tickets. Call Pat.
Oh, Pat, he's got 3 seats to the first 3 people. He's gonna give it. In fact, he texted me a little while ago. Said, "Hey, get those 3 seats given away. So 3 free seats to the next school. All you gotta do is get here."
Well, wow. Do you know his cell phone right off the top of your head?
I got that number. I had him. He said use the 972-725-78.
Okay, hang on. 725
7859. Pat Barrows, 3 free seats to the F&I school.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so if they call Pat Barrows, and that's $2,900 seat, you'll give it away, right?
That's
okay,
correct. 3 of them. First 3.
Okay. I told Pat I'd do that, and call Pat anytime, 3:00 in the morning. He just if you want to chat with Pat. Pat just loves to talk to people.
That's right. That rings right to his cell phone. Yeah.
But, okay. What kind of products we selling in F&I nowadays? I'm gonna give it to Max in a sec. We're selling service contracts, Gap, tire and wheel,
Combo.
Windshield protection,
Paint protection.
oh no, that's environmental protection package.
Yeah. Lease wear and tear.
Oh my gosh.
They're trying to actually bring insurance, actual car insurance into F&I products now. I don't know if y'all have seen that, but that's kind of the big, hubbub about stuff is let's bring that into finance now. So
Bring what?
actual, car insurance. They want to start bringing insurance into the F&I office as well.
Well, MIC, Division of General Motors, tried to do that in 1982, and I had to go to school and become a full lines insurance agent.
So they're not doing that. Yep. They're not necessarily going to that extreme. They're kind of wanting to make the dealer be the broker. Let's go ahead and let dealers kind of become the broker to find the best insurance for customers. And I'm sure in some places that works. Here in Arizona, though, we are a spot delivery state, and I actually see more negative than positive that can potentially come with that. So, that's just another thing that's kind of getting pulled into finance, and it's just
that's one thing. An Allstate agent or a State Farm agent will try to steal your finance in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I was still experiencing that in the marketplace.
Yep, them and the credit unions. The credit unions, they're very notorious for that as well. They're getting more and more aggressive in their ways of trying to, cancel everything from the dealer and let's go ahead and sign up our products. So, dealers have to be really conscientious of everything that's out there right now.
One of the best duties I ever had, I'm going to ask Max a question here about reinsurance here in a minute, but one of the best adventures I ever had, and did I freeze up once? Yes, I did. One of the best adventures I ever had, I was in Hawaii, and I was working with the Cutter Group, and I was going to the Cutter Group once a month. I mean, that was a heavy duty contract, and we had a State Farm agent that kept stealing our finance. Mm-hmm. So we put an Allstate agency in the dealership, and we started converting their customers away from them. Mm-hmm. And that was a benefit for the dealership because the Allstate agent, the State Farm agent backed off in a hurry when he realized anytime we saw one of his customers, we were converting them. We call the Allstate agent in and convert their whole house and everything. Max, why should a dealer private label?
Well, listen, I think I'm going to give you a long-winded answer, right? So if you look at
insurance,
right. So if you look at it from long distance, right, the franchise model is under attack, right? People are trying to sell direct to consumer on the sales side, and then you have right to repair BS on the service side. So really what you have as a dealer principal you only have an ability to have complete control of your F&I department. And in order for you to really have complete control of your F&I department, not only that you have to stop selling OEM branded F&I products, you have to create your own reinsurance or your own dealer-owned warranty company and really start building wealth outside of your dealership. I just did this for a 3 rooftop dealer, right? And over 10 years, they're going to pick up $72 million after tax, right? Without showing any growth in sales of cars or in product penetration. If they just keep doing what they're doing now for the next 10 years, they will pick up $72 million, right? Or they can sell, OEM products, right? Be the good guys in the eyes of the factory, and in 10 years, pick up nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
what do you think? Let me get
in it, and if you're really in it to build generational wealth, you have to be in some form of a participation program. It doesn't matter if it's a controlled foreign corporation, non-controlled foreign corporation, dealer-owned warranty company. Something is better than nothing. And yes, I am speaking to you Nissan dealers, right? Because these guys are notorious, right, for selling Nissan products. I mean, this is just unbelievable stuff, So you need to wake up and really take control of this.
Okay, let me ask a question. First of all, Kenny, what do you think about what he just said?
I totally agree. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me the amount of dealers who don't understand that.
April, are you guys reinsured, or you selling the factory stuff?
No, zero factory. We're zero factory.
Well, see, the thing is,
try to give us more. They literally give you a higher LTVs and stuff when you use their products, and they do everything they can. Not worth it.
Right.
Zero.
Oh, they give you a discount on the floor plan. Not worth it.
Not worth it.
Oh, they're already hitting on the floor plan. Don't even worry about that. We're going to talk about that in another show. But anyway, you got to remember there is something in F&I products called forfeiture. And people don't understand, like the maintenance contract, very few people use the maintenance contract. They buy it, but they don't use it. And so say they don't use the entire thing. And Audi and a lot of brands won't even cancel their maintenance contract, even if you trade the car. Mm-hmm. So in other words, that's forfeiture. Who keeps the money that was earned? If you're doing it with the manufacturer's keeping that money. Right. So forfeiture is a big part of reinsurance, and you have to understand that. But right now, when I've got a consumer, why would a consumer buy a service contract to start with, April?
Well, nothing's changed. If anything, more and more, you should buy a service contract. If one little thing goes wrong in the entire time, and it's funny, but I'm a big data geek. Like I really like to look at data, and I buy a lot of cars. So through my years, I have bought, traded a ton of cars, like most of us car people do. And I've actually kept track through the years on a spreadsheet of like, okay, here's how much I paid for the warranty. Here's how much I got back if I didn't keep it the whole time. Here's how much claims were paid out. And I will tell you, it's if you were going to Vegas, you are the dealer when you're buying a service contract, because you will in the long haul win. Where the dealer kind of wins in these deals, right, is that we don't play by the rules as consumers. So we buy one, we don't use it, so we don't buy one the next time, and you really needed it. And so you go through this back and forth. But the reality of it is if every time you purchase a car, you buy a warranty, it makes sense. And when you look at the cost of a warranty or service contract compared to the cost of the vehicle on a percentage level, it is the least expensive one out there. I mean, go to Best Buy. They want to charge you, 800% compared to what a service contract would cost you on a car. So I'm always shocked at any dealer that isn't above 70% penetration on service contracts.
But April, I had one on my last car and I never used it.
Law of averages, and that's what I'm saying. In order to win, consumers need to understand law of averages and how that really works.
Come on, Jim. Life insurance close. You didn't
Oh,
die.
okay. Now,
I did.
now,
I
April,
have sold life insurance before.
Max, you've heard my life insurance close, right?
I mean, listen, I was a student in your
April,
school.
does your husband have life insurance on the family in case his untimely death?
Oh, you know it. You know it.
Did you have it last year?
Of course.
Are you pissed off he didn't die? Why are you complaining you didn't use your service contract?
Right. Exactly.
You had that damn life insurance all last year and I didn't die. You buy a service contract in case you do use it.
Exactly. And the people who say they can't afford it, at the end of the day, they're the ones that need it even more.
That life insurance close is one of my best.
I actually sold life insurance before I got into the car business, so I guess I probably actually accidentally stole that one and used it.
Oh, I created it 30 years ago. It's been around, but anyway, it's like, do you have car insurance on your wife's car, sir? Oh yeah. Are you pissed off she didn't have a head-on collision and you collect on it? You're not complaining to the car insurance guy, are you?
Too funny.
You got 3 times greater chance of using a claim on your service contract than you do on your car insurance, and your car insurance costs 3 to 10 times as much. Yeah. Kenny, well, why would you buy gap insurance?
It's an interesting saga today. The question is, why would you not? We argue this back and forth in finance school all the time. And, there's pros and cons to gap insurance. And I'm very delicate with that situation, especially in today's world, because it is one of the things that could hurt a dealer more than anything right now, because these lenders have more control.
The balances are outrageous.
Yeah, never mind that portion, the harm to the dealer. But from the consumer's perspective, the folks who are saying, hey, I can't afford gap insurance, are the same folks that are saying, hey, I can't afford a service contract. But if you put those same 2 in a bucket, they also can't afford an irregular car payment. Mm-hmm. So if they had an untimely repair that made their car payment jump up this month, they can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And if they had an accident and they totaled it and their value was less than this market they're paying, which that's going to happen, right? They probably also can't afford to pay it either.
Exactly.
The question is not why wouldn't you buy it? It's why would you even consider not buying it?
I was in Burton, Ohio. Now, Burton, Ohio is kind of weird. Burton, Ohio, the Pat Preston Group, and Amish country. I mean, half the people that live there are Amish people. And I'd never been around Amish people before. April, Amish people actually get DUIs in their carts and their buggies at night. I didn't know that. Not all of them, some of them. But anyway, I'm in Amish country, Pat Preston's dealership, and the F&I guy's name was Wally. And I'm sitting behind Wally, and this woman comes in, and she's one of those, I'm not going to buy anything no matter what you do. You ever meet one of those? Max, you ever see one of those?
Right.
I'm not going to buy anything. So Wally went through his whole JM&A routine. He went through everything he'd rehearsed for 2 weeks. And the woman said, I told you I'm not buying any of that. And I'm sitting behind him. He had a big enough office where 2 people could actually sit in there. I was actually sitting behind him. Most F&I offices are little dungeons. But anyway, I'm sitting behind him and I said, ma'am, my name's Jim Ziegler. I'm a public relations consultant from Atlanta, Georgia. And I couldn't help but hear you say that you didn't want those products. But let me say, I agree with you. Your car's garaged. You probably don't need the environmental protection package. But ma'am, do you have $25 in your purse? Well, yeah. I'll bet you 3 days from now you won't even know what you did with that $25. No. I bet you probably give it to your kids to piss away in the video machines at Chuck E. Cheese's, right? You don't know what you're going to do with that money, right? No. Do you have $7,000 laying around? No. I know you don't because you had struggled with the down payment. Well, yeah. So you don't have $7,000. Our average gap claim in this dealership's over $7,000. So in other words, if a gap claim came at you unexpectedly, it would be a catastrophic event that would disrupt your life. Yeah, but it costs a lot less than $25. Insequential money, insequential money that you don't care about. So in other words, I can get you a small, known, manageable amount. Something you can handle, small, known, manageable amount, as opposed to a catastrophic $7,500 coming at you when you least expect it. And her husband sitting over there goes, well, I think we ought to get that. Oh golly, Kenny, what's your funniest experience in the F&I office?
Funniest was probably something very similar to what you just said.
You're rocking again, Kenny.
You know, having a customer say, I can't afford it, and going through the old budget close where you had a pie on a piece of paper and you're writing all their bills down, and they get down to the end of it, you circle it, I can't afford it. So if something happened, you're telling me you would be able to afford the maintenance. And all of a sudden they jump up and they bump $300 a month, and they couldn't afford $1 a minute ago, but all of a sudden $300 was no big deal. Or we see it quite often in when we're using smart payment plan, the amount of payment bump that a customer can or cannot afford in a biweekly scenario versus a monthly, and or the lack thereof, when they can't understand the difference there. But the funniest to me is I'm not buying, no matter what you do, I'm not doing it, and they end up buying it.
I see those people all the time. I'm not taking it. And
So Jim, I got a quick question about that. How does that work in digital retailing? How are those customers going to now get sold and add profitability to a dealership without a sales rep?
What a great question. They come in on the website. I'm not buying any of that. And if you're Zurich or one of these companies, well, they're going to watch a video and buy it. No, they're not.
No. Because what those customers needed you to explain why they actually needed it. And without the person actually walking through that, they're not checking a box saying, oh yeah, you know what? I got to the end of this, and because this process was awesome, I changed my mind. I'm going to buy it all. That doesn't happen. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just something that it's interesting as we have this conversation, you realize how digital retailing is not there yet to help get you to the finish line.
And they're not going to watch the video. Matter of fact, statistically, they're not watching the videos. We know that. Max, why in the world would I buy these products?
So I agree with April. Just because you watch a video is not going to make you add it to the cart. But I think that dealers have to put information about F&I products on their website. Mm-hmm. Right? So customers, when they walk into the box, right, they're not feeling that like they're being ambushed. All of a sudden, there's all this new information, GAP, VSC, all these, acronyms, right? So you have to have a dedicated page for each and every product on your website, right? Because I bet you guys anything. We can go to any dealership website right now, right? And click on their finance tab, right? And it'll be credit app and a finance calculator, and there'll be nothing about F&I products, right? So we as dealers, right, we are hurting ourselves by keeping it a dirty secret, right? There's no shame in saying, yes, we do sell cars, we do sell parts, and we do sell F&I products.
Max, I get a call 3 times a day from a little guy in India who's concerned about my car's warranty.
I know, me too. So you have to put this information on your website, and yes, people do research before they come to the dealership. So help them do this research on your website. Don't send them somewhere else where it's going to say something like, don't buy it, right? You don't need it, right? Keep them on your website, make it sticky, right? And then you make it easier for your finance manager to do his or her job. The next point is that no matter what you do, and you can have the most talented F&I managers and the best website, you're not going to close everybody, right? Because some people are just stuck on stupid, right? They're just going to say, no, no, no. Yahoo said to say no, right? So what you got to do, right? You have to have a real post-sale F&I follow-up process, which again, I'm willing to bet anything, 99% of car dealers
I
in
love
America
that.
do not have.
Max, let me interrupt you 1 second. When I was with Dyer & Dyer Volvo, now this goes back 25, 30 years ago, we set the world record. We were the first dealership in the world to do $1 million in 1 month in F&I. A Volvo store, not a Chevy, not a Ford, not a Toyota, a Volvo store. And at the end of every month, the F&I, and I was not the director. I wish I could take credit for that. I can't take credit for that. I was one of the producers. I was not the F&I director, but I was part of it. And at the end of every month, Steve Lair, who's now a dealer principal, Steve Lair would take all the people that did not buy a service contract, and we would recontact every one of them and resell service contracts. I mean, that was standard procedure. When you mentioned that brought that memory up in my mind. That's one of the things that we did that made us the best in the world.
Right. But Jim, we all know it's not a common procedure or a standard operating procedure in majority of car dealerships. And again, whether it's the finance department that does the follow-up or the BDC department, or it's a technology where you send out an email with a coupon code and let them maybe, purchase online. Just 2 weeks later, after the guard is down, they're home, they took possession of the car, there's pride of ownership. There's time for everything. So these are the things that we're really missing in F&I.
One of the things we did, Max, it was really cool. One of the wives of one of the managers worked for a travel agency, and she had some of these. They cost us $60 a piece. Vacations in the Bahamas. All you had to do was get yourself there. The hotel and all that was paid for. And when we called at the end of the month, we were offering a free Bahamas vacation with every service contract.
That's right.
You can only do that in states where it's not an insurance product.
Right. But right now, most finance managers, right, they're prima donnas. Right?
No.
Tell a finance manager now that you have to pick up the phone and call the customer from 2 weeks ago. They're afraid to pick up the phone because it's a completely different skill set, right? Plus, they're afraid that, whatever they sold was so shaky, right, that this phone call is going to turn into a cancellation, right, not into an additional sale.
They're afraid they don't want to talk to the people anymore.
Correct.
My God, you would triple fold the contract
and staple
it, and 50 staples right through the interest rate.
Right.
And Martha and Fred would be driving down the street. They get out of the dealership, and they got 50 staples through the interest rate. And Fred says, Martha, what was that interest rate? And Martha says, well, I don't know, Fred, but I got the contract here. The staple tore it out. We will never know.
That's right. You staple through the truth in lending box,
Is it? You never saw anything like that. What's the worst practice you ever saw in any dealership in F&I, April?
Okay, so this one's really bad, and I will tell you that I won't name names, but I saw this happen, and you run for the hills when you see something like this. But there was a store that was convincing people that residual values on leases were what they got back at the end of the lease, and then the finance managers are stuck like looking at them, going, well, let's go through your contract, right? And how do you overcome something so like that doesn't quite make sense? You understand that, all right, do you understand what they told you, or was there a miscommunication, or do you genuinely believe like you're getting stroked a check at the end of your lease term. So that was probably the worst I'd ever seen, that I was like, wow, just wow.
I'm gonna wait till Kenny checks in here. Kenny, what's the worst thing you ever saw in an F&I office?
Man, I don't know if I could follow April after that. Man, probably one of the worst things I've ever seen is a dealer signing the electronic signature pad for the customers. That to me is, I don't worry about what that says. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when they wore those big, wide, long ties. I did spend 21 years with Van Tassel, so we always wore ties, but never those big, wide ties that they could slide across the contract where nobody could see.
Put your tie over the.
Yeah.
Max, what did you see?
So I'll be honest with you. Now that I'm out of retail, it's been 13 years since I'm out of retail. When I go to a car dealership, right, and we do F&I, right, we do either F&I training or we do, rollout of new F&I products. What's really shocking to me is almost non-existent product knowledge of finance managers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can tell you what tire and wheel is.
They can't tell you. When I would interview people, when I was a director, when I would interview people, tell me 10 reasons why a customer buy a service contract. Tell me 10 reasons why they, at the time, buy credit insurance. Tell me 10 reasons why they buy gap protection. And most F&I managers can't tell you, well, it gives you a peace of mind and it protects the car. Did I already say peace of mind? Yeah, you did. And it's amazing how little quality training is out there. That's why I'm looking at Kenny over here, and MOTiV's got incredible training. We talk about, and I don't do the F&I schools anymore, but I've done 100 F&I schools. I've done 200 F&I schools. I'm not sure. And that was always the thing. People don't have the quality rebuttals, the word tracks, the objection overcomers. And Max, I'm about to tell the story about the white dot.
But listen, at the end of the day, right? If you don't know what you're selling, how can you possibly sell it?
Exactly. I'm going to tell the story about the white dot. Now, April, have you ever heard the story about the white dot?
I don't know if I've heard this one. I don't know.
Okay. In the day, we had three F&I computers, Coin, Oakleaf, and Wang. I mean, in the day, that was the three we had. I'm talking the 80s now. And the Oakleaf had a big green screen. And the big green screen would start out with a white dot. Now, Kenny, you picturing this?
Yep.
White dot right there in the center of the screen. And all of a sudden, the white dot, about 30 seconds to compute a payment. It would go, whoosh, it'd be a payment that big right on the middle of the screen. So I had a customer in the F&I office. And the customer said, what's my payment? I said, well, I don't know. Ford Credit hasn't put your payment on the screen yet. Well, watch the white dot. So the customer goes, I can't afford that. Well, sir, the Ford Credit, those people have college educations and knowing what you can afford. that payment wouldn't be on the screen if you couldn't afford it. Well, they're wrong. Well, let's call Ford Credit. And I started talking to the air vent, the side of the computer screen. Hello, Miss Jenkins, Jim Ziegler. I've got Cyrus here with port number 389. Yes, ma'am. Cyrus Jenkins. He says you miscomputed his payment. No, ma'am, he's not complaining. No, ma'am. He's a respectful guy. Okay, Cyrus, she's going to recompute your payment. Watch the white dot. He looks at the payment. And he jumps up in the air vent and says, look, bitch, I said I cannot afford that payment. That really happened. Of course, I don't do that anymore.
Oh, that's so funny.
The white dot. Watch the white dot. It'll turn into your payment. I actually have pictures of people doing push-ups to qualify for Credit Life.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's just another avenue of a salesperson, right? BDC is sales, salespeople are sales, F&I is sales, service advisors are sales. They are all needed to help convince customers that what they really want to do is what they want to do, and they need that help and that permission. And we do need to do a better job of not only knowing the products and explaining the products, but following up just like we would a car deal. I mean, if they didn't buy a car today, would we let them leave the showroom and not follow up with them? So, Max is 100% right. That is one of the best, most untapped areas, is the lack of follow-up after the fact to sell service contracts. Is your service department selling them? Are you offering their first oil change for free if they'll sit down and have a conversation, or cover, part of they're 10% down because you're not going to charge them that first service. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to help get customers into service contracts. And I think even advisors nowadays, would they rather see a customer in a service contract, walk in and say, hey, great news, it's going to cost you $50 versus...
Well, I stopped calling them service contracts. I call it parts and labor agreement. Because it more accurately describes what it does to me. It doesn't just do service, it does parts and labor, because that's what Best Buy and all these department stores call it. They call it a parts and labor program. Matter of fact, when I was in Tampa or St. Petersburg, we have a lot of senior citizens. I called it a parts and labor program. And this A package number A, the platinum package. The platinum package actually includes enrollment in the 7-year, 100,000-mile parts and labor program. Because senior citizens don't buy anything, but they enroll in everything.
Medicare package A.
Enrolling a senior citizen in the parts and labor program is better than selling them a contract. Oh God. So the other thing I'm seeing right now is there's a lot of people out there saying that the service contract, you can buy it from a TV source, you can buy it from your Allstate agent. A lot of people matter of fact, credit unions are selling service contracts. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, they definitely are, and we all know they're getting their service contract from somebody else, right? That's not theirs. It's not their white label. It's not something they're definitely not doing a reinsurance. They're getting it from someone else, and they're doing it to help retain their customer to act like the good guy. But the consumer doesn't realize that most of those policies, the verbiage and the payouts are not very good. They don't consider true labor rates or parts. That it's a real trap for the consumer, and they just don't understand when they're walking into it that it's a trap, and it's a deliberate trap to keep the dealer out of the mix, to keep the credit union in the forefront of the consumer's mind.
Why would somebody not finance with a credit union?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, in a lot of the states that we do business in, the credit unions, if you do your business with a credit union, you finance with a credit union, yes, there's always going to be a rate competition. The state generally can get the tags done for the dealer faster than with the credit union. Credit union doesn't have the same means to get your tags done as fast, which means you could have penalties and fines if you wait too long, where going through the dealership, we can actually get them done faster, the right way the first time. Some credit unions don't have the staff to do that. So for me, for a consumer, protecting consumers is more important than getting beat by 1/4 or 0.5%. So I train F&I managers, when you're competing against a credit union, remind them of the fines and penalties that come with late registrations.
So you're going in dealerships almost every week, and you're teaching an F&I school every couple of months. So when you're going in the dealerships and coaching these people, what are you seeing that needs the most immediate coaching?
To me, there's always 3 things. The first one is continuing the transparency, right? I think in today's world, as we've evolved from the technology we've grown from to now, and as we continue to grow into this digital age, transparency from the F&I manager, the sales manager, the salesperson is going to be the tool that has the most improvement. And the reason I say that is transparency will overcome some of this digital age. Transparency meaning the consumers don't realize how many more components are reliant on this computer chip that we can't get right now. There's so many publications out there about these chip shortages. Well, the consumer doesn't know that 94% of their car relies on this little chip that we can't get. They also don't realize that because we can't get that chip, the word inflation and everything else hasn't even hit the car business yet.
Oh my gosh, the technology, the service contract covers so much technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I used to sell Corvettes, I'd say, you know, Mr. Customer, it covers everything, including the liquid quartz crystal computerized digital instrumentation display system. The what? The instrumentation display system, liquid quartz crystal instrument. Sir, your automobile is 10,000 high component parts. Metal, plastic, rubber, space-age materials, welded, stapled, riveted, glued, fused together by human beings and robots. And some of these parts move at speeds in excess of 10,000 RPMs, less than 3,000th of an inch clearance, 1,000th of an inch lubrication, rubbing and braiding against each other, creating high levels of heat with more than 10,000 times computer memory. We put Apollo 11 on the moon with in 1969. And they go,
yeah, you know,
Bring that back to me now, Mr. Customer.
Oh, I can say it many times.
One of the things we use for transparency that's the most dumbed down tool we use in the F&I office right now is I have my guys go to Walmart and get a $5 plastic fish bowl.
A $5 fish bowl. Come on now.
Little fish bowl, little one, and I have them take it to parts and service. And whatever they take on the service drive out of a consumer's tire, put in this bowl till it's about halfway full, and just set that on your desk. And I have them write down how long it took to get this bowl with all these bolts and nuts and I mean, and you name it, it's going to come out of the tire, right? And you know, you put that in your present, you just set that on your desk. And part of your presentation, the customer walks in and they're going to ask you, "What is that?" It's funny you ask that.
Inevitably.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you ask that question. Most of my customers have the same question. And what we found is it took about 3.5 days for my service drive to put those things into the bowl. And those all came out of consumers' tires. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Right. But it opens up a conversation with the simplest of the simple because, you know, everybody else has all these cool gadgets, the coffee cups that look like they're spilling coffee all over your desk. But these are real life. This came out of somebody's tire this week in my service drive. You know, and it's really just getting them to relate with the reality of what today is about.
So you're not using the white dot story?
No white dot story. I love it. You know, here's the thing. I love the white dot story. In fact, I'm going to tell you a funny story. It's funny now. It wasn't funny at the moment, but I literally almost got killed one time in a dealership.
No.
I said to a customer, and I'll say some things that are a little crazy, like the white dot story. I'm not afraid. But I was talking to a guy, we're working a car deal, and he's beating me up over $300. And I said, "Look, man, I can't split $300 with you. I don't even have hairs to split, and you're asking me to split hairs." Funny thing is, he had hair plugs. I knew that. It was very clear. Right?
Yeah, hair plugs.
And he proceeded to tell me that I should call his friend. And I said, "Your friend who?" And he says, he reaches in his pocket, he hands me this business card, and it was to hair plugs, whatever, right? We'll leave the guy's nationality out. That doesn't matter. And I said, "Well, if you don't mind me asking, how much did it cost to get your hair done?" And he said, "Well, it was $3,000. I slammed the business card down on the table. I said, "So time out. You'll pay $3,000 to have the hair, but you won't pay $300 for the car?" He goes, "That's right." I said, "Well, let me at least make a copy of your business card." So I walk over, I make a copy of this guy's hair club card, right? Hand it back to him. He leaves. He's happy. Man, he gets about 10 minutes down the road, 20 minutes down the road, and realized, well, that guy was messing with me about my hair plugs. Dude, he comes back in the dealership, 85 mile an hour, right into the service drive and locks him up. and comes running in the shower, cussing and screaming, hand on the gun, dude. But all about the hair plugs, right? I mean, I knew it. All my salesmen were like, "You're crazy." Yeah, a little bit. But no white dot story. I would love the white dot. That is in my wheelhouse.
Oh,
I
hey,
have a lot of stories, but most of them would be inappropriate to say on live.
well, you know, hey, yeah, April, are you familiar with the Federal Express close?
The Federal Express close. Yeah,
I invented the Federal Express close.
yeah.
That was good.
There's some good ones.
When
There's
the
two
Federal
of my favorites that
when
come
the
to
Federal Express when Federal Express envelopes first came out in the 80s, the big cardboard envelope that we use today, my customer would come in the F&I office and, well, what's my payment? What's my interest rate? Well, let me see if they've sent your contract. And I'd pull this Federal Express envelope off the shelf and had their name written on it, magic marker pen. And I said, well, what's my payments? I don't know. I haven't opened it yet. Hey, you got a service contract.
You qualified for the left column.
Well, yeah, that sort of has gotten around. So Kenny, when you go in these dealerships, what else is lacking in these people?
You know, I think that the number one thing, product knowledge is a big one, right? I don't think we spend enough time product knowledge, not only just from the sales side, right, but from the finance office, right? Understanding how to be able to communicate to the consumer, not only at the time of sale, but even at the time of claim, when they have an issue, understanding the policy that you sold well enough to be able to walk their hand or hold their hand and walk them through the process, whether it's a gap claim, whether it's a tire and wheel claim, whether it's service contract claim, whether it's your deductible or no deductible, disappearing deductible, no deductible, right? I just don't think they're armed well enough and understand how to have a simple conversation with the truth. So because they're afraid to tell the truth, they're afraid they're going to get told no, which no is just a simple gateway to yes, right?
I love that. No is just a simple gateway to yes. Okay, I can do that.
If my wife was here, she'd be laughing right now because the very first thing she ever told me was, "Are you crazy? Don't you ever talk to me like that again." And then shortly thereafter, we were getting married, but no is just a simple gateway to yes. But most finance managers today are scared to get a no, and without the no, you can't get a yes. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, it's all persuasion and finesse. And I joke about the white dot close, and that really did happen one time. And I used to like to play with people a little bit, but would never do that today. But it's all persuasion and finesse. And I hear some of the robotic word tracks that are taught in some of these schools, and it just absolutely blows me away. I can't believe that it's conversation, not memorization. That's the other slang. Talk with the people, don't talk at the people. And Max, what about selling? You go sell service contracts on Amazon? I know you're selling.
Well, listen. I think to Kenny's point, about being afraid to hear no, right? I think it all trickles down, right? And if the dealer principal, right, because it all comes from the dealer principal, right? If the dealer principal really understands the beauty of the F&I department, and that F&I department is the true gateway to wealth, right? Then, you would have a completely different approach to training within the dealership, right? Because I'm willing to make a bet that most dealerships do have at some point some kind of a walk around competition in their sales department. But none of those dealerships have that walk around competition in F&I. Right? That concept, they can't connect the dots, right? You got to do the same in F&I that you do in sales. So again, if dealers understand that the real money is sitting, in these participation programs, and in order for you to pump money into these participation programs, you need to train your people to sell them. And you need to work on your product penetration, product presentation, product knowledge all the time. Not when Jim Ziegler comes in or when Kenny comes in, right? Because what happens when they leave?
Yep.
Right, Jim, you know what happens. They say, well, finally, he's gone. We can go back to our old ways.
Well, it's amazing. Jim Fitzpatrick on CBT News, he put on the side, buy the car today, we'll make your last 12 payments. I thought this was a 48-month contract. It's a 60-month contract. Oh, sir, that's a mistake. You bring the car in and we'll
no, Jim, we used to rip out. Remember, you rip off the last 12 months from the coupon book.
Not me.
Right.
No, different things. That's the next show on CBT News. So I'll tell you what, guys, this is an incredible show. What have we not talked about, April?
I think at the end of the day, the concept of this was, the past, the now, and the future. And I think we've talked about the past and, got some good laughs. And those of you that haven't, been in the business a long time, let us know on the side and we'll fill you in on some of those other fun stories.
There's some fun stories.
We've talked about the now, quite a bit, and what is important for right now for dealers to do a better job to combat the credit unions, to make sure that we're following up with our customers after the fact to get our service contracts back in house, or to not even call them service contracts, those type of things. But I think as we talk about the future, I just want to remind everyone that everything we talked about today involved people. Every single aspect involved people. You can't have a fishbowl on your desk with nuts and bolts to help ask an objection, right? To get that objection out of customers without having a person in your office to see that. So a lot of the things that we talk about, we have to remember that people, the OEMs and all these other people are trying to tell us that customers want to buy cars A to Z, and they don't. So when it comes to what we're doing digitally, we need to remember there are times when it's necessary. I just bought a little travel trailer from out of state, and it was necessary for me to do my paperwork via this way, right? We did it online. I had to do it that way because nobody in my state sells what I was looking to buy. Those things happen, but they're the exception and not the rule. So the rule is take care of your customers where they're at. Most of the time, that's going to be inside your office. And make sure we're building value on our websites. Like Mac said, make sure we put the information out there. And then like Kenny said, make sure we're training our staff inside the store so that going forward, we're building value in the products we're selling, but we're also providing customer service after the fact. Because your credit union is not going to hold your hand. If you really want your customer to buy a warranty next time, gap insurance next time, help them file that claim. You help them file that claim one time, they buy gap insurance 100% of the time for the rest of their life. If it's a pain point for them because you refuse to help them because you're too much of a prima donna, they will never buy it again because of the pain it took to actually go through the process. So if people will help customers in the process, we will always have people in the equation.
There's another thing I'm so glad you brought up, credit unions. When somebody comes in and says, I'm going to buy my service contract from a credit union. I'm going to buy my gap from a credit union. Mm-hmm. I'm going to buy my gap and my service contract from Allstate. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, why would you create a conflict of interest for Allstate? Did Allstate sell you the car insurance? Yeah. And they sold you the gap too? Yeah. Or any one of these companies? Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll never total it.
Okay. So, but let me ask you, if you totaled the car and they had to make a decision whether to repair an unsafe car because the gap was a higher payout. So you're creating a conflict of interest where they got to decide which is the higher payout. Yeah. And they might put your family back in an unsafe car they repaired when they should have totaled it. Yep. And when a credit union sells a service contract, it is not as good as the ones we sell. When I was an F&I manager many years ago, I collected every service contract that every credit union in the area was selling. When I had a customer come in that had bought a service contract at a credit union, I would say, let me make a copy of that to keep in your permanent records here. And then I'd study it. And I'd find out what it didn't cover that mine covered. And I'd wipe the customer's name out, and I would make a copy of it and show it to the next customer. Look, let me show you what they sold you. Let me show you what we sell. And I would compare them.
Yep.
And, you know, people say, well, why did you set those records? Not because I was so much smarter than everybody else, but I did things other people would not do. And I think that's what Kenny and Max and April are saying today. We had a little fun today, and we were talking about days and things we would not do today. Kenny, you have a good time today, Kenny?
Oh yeah, always a good time.
Max, do you have a good time?
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind going back to the old times.
April, thank you. Did you have a good time?
Always have a great time.
Wave goodbye to the audience. Everybody.